Hello, friends. Welcome to another session on Excel. Once Steve Jobs said, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." One of the powerful quote which he has delivered during his commencement speech at Stanford University. So it talks about the importance of staying hungry for knowledge and being humble to you know learn more. In today's session, we are going to discuss about the function which is indirect function in Excel. When I say indirect function, what is the benefit of using an indirect function in Excel? You don't need to see when you are working on a data set. Basically, you don't need to directly refer a cell, which means that I don't need to mention D2, C5, D7, so on so forth. It is not that easy to remember, if you're referencing it to the alphabets or numbers. It's not that easy to remember those, right? However, if you give a text name for every cell reference, it is always easy to remember. So indirect function, what you can achieve through indirect function is, like, you can refer cells based on text strings, and even there is a change, it will adjust accordingly. There is a change in the the cell reference number, it will automatically update, which means, like, it is more dynamic in nature. Let's see couple of examples to learn more about uh, indirect function. Now assume that you have a data set like this. Here in this case, we have a data set which has 6 columns, right? In fact, 7 columns, and around 7 rows. However, in reality, at workplace, you may have more number of columns. Assume that you have a large data set which has so many columns and so many rows, right? And you want to refer a column text and row text in order to fetch a number. In the sense, if I want to see what is the intersection of USA and Feb month, which means that the value which is coming in the intersection, which represent USA and month of February, so which is 93. I don't need to give C4. All I have to mention is USA and Feb. It will give me the result which is 93. So how can it be possible? How do we do this one? Let's understand this. In order to get that information, the first thing we need to do is select the data set, select the data set and say Shift Control F3. You can create names before we start this indirect function. We have to create the names based on the rows and columns. I'm selecting top row, which is default has come. If it is not coming, if it is not happening, you can select top row, which means the labels will be taken for reference. Similarly, left column, again the labels will be taken from the left column, and give OK. Once you have given the labels, top row and left column, assume that you have, let's say you have India, right? And you have January. Now you want to see, you want to get result based on these two, is the country name and the month. So what I can do is, instead of selecting the cell manually, if I know the reference titles, the labels, I can say that equal to indirect. Let me increase the font size to make it more visible to you. So equal to indirect, select that particular cell, space, again indirect, select the next cell. You will get the result which is 63. You can see this one here. If I copy paste Canada here, I'll get a result as 680. If I copy paste May here, for Canada it is 73. Right, the results are right. What makes it more even, let's say, interesting is you can convert this into a data validation also. In the sense, you can use data validation, bring it as list, source. You can keep this as a first source, give OK, and here you can again go to data validation, list, second source you can give the top one. So what is that happens here? Now I can select instead of typing it. I can say, Australia, and say month of May. So it gives me 62, which is Australia in the month of May 62. Yes, it is right. You getting my point? Similarly, I can select USA 94. USA in the month of May, which is 94. I think it is matching. So I hope you understood the importance of indirect function. If you have a large set of data, you don't need to, you don't need to refer the cell based on the cell reference like 5 or C5, D8, right? Instead, or static, instead of keeping the static saying that it is D9, C9, it won't change automatically. But if you give a text string reference, it becomes very dynamic. Even if there is any change, it will accommodate, it will get updated, right? So that is a powerful thing about indirect. Even we can use indirect for some other thing also, like data validation. Let me show you this. Let's say I'm creating a questionnaire. I'm creating an Excel sheet to send to the respondents. Okay, in order to fill the information, I want them to fill information and send it back to me. So what are the information I want is I want their brand and model. So I'm going to give a choice to them to fill, which means I'm going to give a list box where they can select the choices through that, right? So the choices for them is, one is data validation, list, okay, and I can say source, data validation, brand is, these are the, sorry, brand, brand is list, brand is, these are the four different brands, the mobile brands. I'm giving OK to this. The second, once this is select, assume that this is selected, then the model I'm giving as, let's say I'm giving model. Before giving that, let's select this one as we did it for the earlier example. Shift Control F3, keep top row only, because the labels are in the top row. These are the models under each category, each brand. So these are the models of Nokia. These are the models of LG. So I'm giving only top row here. I'm giving OK. Now what happens? We are selecting brand. We have the options, model. Okay, this is based on the brands. So you don't need to select anything here. What we can do is, let's say you have selected this one. Here, go to data validation. Say list. You cannot select the variables here because it keeps changing, right? So we can give equal to indirect formula, open the bracket, select the previous selection. So what happens here is, the second selection, okay, the list will be based on the previous selection. So what here I've just selected, I have selected like this, indirect of Motorola. So whenever I change the model, let's say I'm keeping LG, the second option will list out only models which based on the previous selection. I hope you're getting the point. Instead of giving all the options, this option will be based on what? Based on the previous selection. If I select, let's say if I select Nokia, the options in the model will be only Nokia models, right? If I select Samsung, the second option will be only Samsung. That is the advantage of using indirect function. I hope you understood the concept of indirect function, and we have seen two use cases. One is based on the the data range, the data set which we have got, and another we have exclusively done it through data validation, right? So I'm doing it again, this particular concept of model alone. Let me do it again. We have selected this thing using Shift Control F3, selected top. Then we are coming to the model and we are saying data, data validation, list in equal to indirect, open the bracket, select the brand, which is already there. So giving. Now, based on the previous selection, the other selection will come. Now, let's say you have a country and cities. Can you use this option? Yes. If the somebody has selected country, which is Canada, the cities will be based on the cities will be from Canada. If somebody has selected India, the cities will be from India. So based on the previous selection, the next selection will give you the list. That is the powerful thing about indirect function. I hope you have understood the concept, and please remember this is one of the very important again function in Excel. I think hope you will master this indirect function and make it more more productive. Right, folks. Hope you understood the concept very clearly. Every single day you're going to get one or two new videos on Excel, Power BI, and other important skills which are required for employability. So I request you all to subscribe to this channel so that you get an update every single day whenever there is an new upload, right? Thank you so much, and please subscribe and support with bell icon by hitting bell icon. Thank you so much.